We'll start with this question since it speaks about Tu Bishvat, that, as Hannah just said, starts in exactly a week from tonight. And the question is as follows. Since Tu Bishvat is coming up next week, can you take us through this holiday and the special Tu Bishvat Seder that is conducted? So yes, so Tu Bishvat is the birthday of trees, as they call it, the Rosh Hashanah La'ilanot, as the Talmud itself calls it in the tractate of Rosh Hashanah, which really means not just the birthday of tree, but also the anniversary of trees, and we celebrate it. Why do we celebrate the anniversary of trees? Why don't we celebrate the anniversary of squirrels, of walls, of rocks? Why of trees? And that is because of the verse in Deuteronomy that says, Ki Adam etz hasadeh, because man is like the tree of the field, that we are very much compared to the tree of the field. And we are compared to the tree of the field for many reasons, but mainly because to be living life is to be growing like a tree grows. If you are not growing, you really are not living. And in many ways, when we celebrate trees, it reminds us that we also have a lot to grow. Regardless how much we've grown up until now, we still have to grow each and every day. Not only do we have to grow, but we also have to make grow. Not just grow for ourselves like trees, but trees also produce fruits, produce oxygen, produce all sorts of blessings for the world in order to make their surroundings grow. So as trees, on Tu Bishvat, we are reminded to grow and also to produce as many fruits as we can for the benefit of the world, to make others grow. That's why we focus on trees. Of course, on the simplistic level, it is to remind us of how grateful we have to be for the trees. Without trees, there's really no humanity, because as we just said, it provides some of the basic necessities that a human being needs, and not just vegetables and fruits, etc., but oxygen and the other things that trees produce. So therefore, we celebrate Tu Bishvat. To go to the Seder of Tu Bishvat, and we can elaborate much more if you want, but to go to the Seder of Tu Bishvat, to this beautiful custom that was actually established by the Kabbalists of Tzfat some 400 years ago, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria and his peers, who said that in order to truly celebrate Tu Bishvat and thank God for the trees and the fruits and all that they produce, we must have a Seder. The Seder is divided into 4 parts. And these 4 parts include 4 types of vegetables and fruits, and also 4 types of wines. By the way, you can write this down so that you can conduct these Seders in your own homes with your friends and family too. So 4 parts with 4 types of fruits and vegetables and 4 wines, 4 types of wines. The first part, let's start with part number 1, includes a fruit that is not edible on the outside, but is edible on the inside. So for example, banana. I don't know if that's a fruit, it is, even though we say Borei Pri Adama on it. But a banana has a peel on the outside, so you don't really eat it. But it's edible on the inside. An orange, anything with a peel, even though French people eat orange peels. They make chocolate out of orange peels. So I don't know if you can count an orange in that category, right? It's delicious, isn't it? But any fruit that is not edible on the outside, yet edible on the inside. The reason we do that is because this particular fruit in this particular part of the Seder represents 2 things. One is a type of person. Remember, there's a great comparison here made between trees and people. And the other one is a Kabbalistic world. According to Kabbalah, there are 4 worlds. This fruit represents the lowest of worlds. That's why it's part 1. We're ascending in the worlds, and therefore we start with the lowest one. So let's start with the type of world that it represents. The type of world it represents is Olam Asiyah, which means the world of action, which is really our world. Our world is the lowest of worlds. And our world is represented so beautifully by this fruit because our world, in many ways, there's a lot of peels on the outside. Externally, we don't always see the light, don't always see the goodness in this world. Yet if we have the persistence and the faith to peel those external layers, then we'll discover a fruit and we'll discover God himself. In fact, the word for world in Hebrew is olam, which refers obviously to this world. Olam in Hebrew does not just mean world. Olam in Hebrew comes from the word le'alim, which means to conceal. And that's because this world conceals godliness. And it's our duty to reveal that godliness. That's how you engage in what we call tikkun olam, repairing the world. B'malchut Shaddai, we always forget those two words that follow the words tikkun olam, in the kingship of God, by again revealing godliness and peeling those peels. So sometimes you see a person that's annoying, just peel him a little bit, you'll find a soul. Sometimes you'll find a challenge that's frustrating, peel it a little bit, you'll find a blessing within it. And that's the way this world functions. There's olam, there's great concealment, but we have to peel it and then we'll find the fruit. That's what this first part of the Seder represents. The other thing that this fruit represents, as we said, is also people, a very specific category of people. These are the types of people that are hard to get to know because they have this peel on the outside. In fact, you don't always want to get to know them because they seem like so obnoxious on the outside. Yet if you peel them, so to speak, then you might be rewarded in getting to know someone who has really a very good personality, just like a cactus. The outside is all thorny, but the inside is sweet. So that's the type of people that this first part represents, the type of world that this first part represents. And then you also have a cup of wine that is part of this first part. This wine is really the wine that is completely white. You can pick a Chardonnay, you can pick a Moscato, you can pick what's your favorite wines, white wines. Come on, a Chenin Blanc, oh, Pinot Grigio, thank you. Okay, you can pick that type. Now, these wines really represent the 4 seasons. White represents the season we're in. Tu Bishvat is in, which is soon. No, Tu Bishvat is right on the verge of the spring, the winter. And why white? Because in most places in the world, not in Arizona, but in most places in the world is covered with snow, with whiteness during this season of Tu Bishvat, which really Tu Bishvat is on the verge of the spring too. Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2 now. For part 2, we take fruit that is mostly edible on the outside, but not edible on the inside. So, for example, an olive. For example, come on, a date. Peach, thank you, an apricot. Right. And that type of fruit now represents the second world, the one that's just above this world. It's called the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation, where you actually see godliness. It's an angelic world. It's a world filled with God's presence. So the fruit is apparent. But there is a little bit of bad in that world because you have some bad angels. We speak about it during the 13 Petal Rose class. You have like the angel of death that resides in that world. So there's a little bit of bad. So that pit within the fruit represents the bad that is found in that world. That's the world that the second part represents. The type of person that the second part represents is the person that might be full of smiles on the outside and so nice and warm and loving. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you might also find some demons, some pits, some, stubbornness, like a pit maybe. And we include those people nonetheless because, again, we have unconditional love, Ahavat Israel, and all are included in the Tu Bishvat Seder. So that's the second type of, the second part of the Seder regarding its fruit, the fruits that it includes. The type of wine you should have now is the season that follows the winter. What color? It's white, but with touches of, that's right, with touches of red. So I would use like a rosé. I would use, what other wines can you use for that? Come on. There's no wine drinker here? No sommelier? What? Oh, thank you. There's a Moscato like that. Yeah, I think it's called a Malvasia. That's right. Very good. So that light pinkish type of wine is the wine that is drunk to represent the season of spring in which the colors now of the world are starting to emerge and blossom. That's the second part of the Seder. The third part of the Seder now includes a fruit that is entirely edible. For example, a blueberry, or I think all berries, not entirely edible, like a raspberry, blackberry, strawberries. Maybe there's the leaves on the top, so it's not entirely edible unless you eat those leaves. But berries or any other fruit like that, I know French people, I grew up on that, love kumquats. Do you know what kumquats are? Right? So those are entirely edible. That's right. Yeah, and seedless grapes, I would say. Yeah, that's right. Now, those fruits represent the third world. So 2 worlds above this one. And that world is called Olam HaBriah, which really means the world of creation. That world is a world that is entirely good. Our souls come from that world. We're higher than angels. Remember, the angels come from the world of formation. We come from the world of creation. Our souls come from this world. God resides much more dominantly in that world. It's more revealed. And it's entirely good. Just like that fruit that we're eating. There's nothing bad in it. Now, the type of people that this fruit represents is the type of people that are also entirely good. What you see is what you get. In a good way. Right? They're entirely good on the outside, entirely good on the inside. The more you get to know them, the more you realize that they're for real. And those are those fruits, just like those fruits that have nothing bad. The type of wine that is used for this third part of the Seder is now a wine that leads us more into the summer, where the color of the sun is much, or at least the effect of the sun is much stronger in this world. People's faces turn red when you have no AC, and therefore the wine is redder. And you can use, let's say, some Merlot, some Pinot Noir, some, what's your favorite? Come on. Yeah. That's everyone's favorite. Yeah, the only problem is that if you drink Manischewitz now for this third part of the Seder, you might not get to the fourth part. So you might want to be careful with that. But in any case, that's right. So that's what this color represents, the season of the summer, where the colors of both the human being and the world are much more amplified. Then you have the fourth part. The fourth part has an empty plate. You don't include any fruits in that fourth part. Now, why is that? Because Kabbalistically, this represents the fourth world, which is the world of Atzilut, or the world of emanation. This is a world where even our souls cannot reside. Why? Because God is so present, so unreservedly present in that world that he melts everything. There's nothing that can stand in the presence of that holiness. And therefore, the plate here is empty to represent this world in which nothing really can exist but God. You see, in order for God to allow this world to come into existence, he had to contract his light. As Kabbalists teach us, it's called tzimtzum, where God had to contract his light for the world to be. But in that world, the light is not contracted. It's completely revealed. God is completely revealed. And therefore, nothing can stand in that presence of God, and the plate is left empty. Some say that the type of people that this empty plate represents is the people that do not come to the Seder, where the people who cannot come, that are here in this world and they can't come for whatever reason, because maybe they're not connected, and it's our duty to think of them and to reach out to as many people as possible, even what we call the unaffiliated. And the other side of that is that it presents people who are no longer here with us physically. They're in the heavens, but we have to remember that they walk with us wherever we go, that they watch over us, and by emptying our plate and making room for them, we're welcoming them into our lives, not just in a nice spiritual way, but in a very tangible way even, where we really, really believe that they are present. They are present in our every turn and in every twist of our personal lives. So that's what this empty plate represents from a Kabbalistic standpoint. The fourth season is the season of the autumn, of fall, as you call it here in America. And that's where the colors are the strongest. Maybe not so much in Arizona, but if you go to the East Coast, for example, you'll see that the leaves are completely red, for example, and everything. That's why you have to use the reddest wine, which is probably Cabernet. What else? Come on, well, the connoisseurs here. What's the reddest wine? Cabernet? Cabernet Sauvignon? That's right. This is the fall season now. Season of the fall. That is represented again by the wine that carries the most color, and that's probably a Cabernet or something like that. Anyhow, so that's how the Seder is conducted usually. Now, a few important things about the Seder too, technical details that ought to be mentioned. Number one is that one should have a fruit, preferably among the fruits that are offered in the first three parts of the Seder, that is completely new. Why? So that one can say the blessing of Shechianu, a blessing that is recited over anything that is new. Now the blessing of Shechianu will then be recited over the fruit, but also over the holiday, Tu Bishvat. When we say Shechianu over that new fruit, obviously we have in mind the new fruit that's in front of us that we're about to eat, but we should also have in mind the holiday of Tu Bishvat, which is a new holiday, a holiday that happens only once a year. And the holiday, therefore, that deserves the blessing of Shechianu. We don't know if it's an important or not. I shouldn't say important. If it's a holiday that is at the level of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, the biblical holidays, and therefore we do not know if we can say Shechianu just on the holiday itself, but we can use the excuse of having a new fruit to say the Shechianu over that new fruit, and at the same time to think of the holiday of Tu Bishvat. So that's one important thing. And what's considered a new fruit? A new fruit is a fruit that you haven't had in the past year. So I don't know if they sell new fruits here at Fry's, at Safeway, or at Whole Foods, or wherever you go, but usually you can find new fruits here, actually some original ones. So that's that. Another thing is that the blessing of Borei Peri Ha'etz is the blessing that is recited over the fruits. You don't have to say it each time you eat a fruit. You say it at the very beginning, part one, where you're having that fruit that comes with the peel. After you've peeled the fruit, you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz, and then you have the fruit. That will include, that blessing will include all of the future fruits that you'll have in part one, part two, and part three. That's an important thing. Same with Hagefen. The blessing of Hagefen is recited over the wine. When you have your Chardonnay or your Pinot Grigio, you said, right? At the very beginning of the Seder, then that Hagefen will include all of the future wines that you will have throughout the Seder. You have to say it time and time again. One last thing about the Seder, and of course, if you have questions, I'm happy to take them. But one last thing about the Seder is, just as we speak about the different types of people and we include them, it's most important not just to speak about them and to eat those delicious fruits and drink those delicious wines, but to translate our words into actions and to really think of people that you need to improve your relationship with, and to take upon yourself on Tu Bishvat, since we're celebrating people through trees, we have to take upon ourselves to better any relationship that might be rocky. And that is also what the Kabbalists suggest doing during this Seder. Yes, Janet.
Yeah. What do you substitute?
Oh, grape juice.
So that would work.
Mm-hmm. Because the blessing for grape juice is also Borei Peri Ha'gefen, and they also have different colors, right? You can mix wines also. You don't have to use, like, or even for wines. I mean, same with grape juice. You can mix the red and the white to make it less red, more red. Sorry? Yeah, you can water it down too. Yeah, but you still want to have the majority of grape juice so that you can say the blessing of Bore Pri HaGefen, because if it's water, it's a different blessing. Yeah. Yeah, Sue. However long you want. It's a look, it lasts. I mean, some people sing, like if you go to Tzfat, where you can walk almost into any home and have a Seder like that, and in Jerusalem too, and other places, then, you'll see that Seder is just like the Passover Seder, that where people sing, where people really have a ton of types of fruits, or you can make it really brief, have just one type of fruit per part, not sing at all, just say the blessing, and then it could be quick. It really depends. Yeah, actually, we did a Tu Bishvat Seder a few years ago, but we should do one again. So you know what? You lead it too, and next year we're gonna have the best Tu Bishvat Seder ever. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the four worlds is a very deeply Kabbalistic idea, so that's very much introduced. I think the interrelationships and the way we handle them is very Kabbalistic too. But yeah, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that the same thing as what we were talking about? Because it's a completely
Yeah, this is different. This is different. Some say that you should have, because we're celebrating trees and fruits, so we should have as many fruits as possible in order to be grateful for for all the fruits that God gives us. And 15 is a number that Kabbalists came up with. First, because there are 15 levels in the Passover Seder, so there's a parallel between that Seder and this Seder. And also because 15 spells out the Hebrew word Yud and Hey, which is one of the names of God. So by choosing 15 fruits, we're also connecting to the creator of those 15 fruits. Yeah. Fruits. Yeah. No, what you do, so you can incorporate the 15 fruits into your three parts, the three of the four parts. So then you include as many fruits. Not saying you should have one fruit per part. You can have almonds for the first part too, because they come with a peel. You can have oranges. You can have, so then you have, a bunch of fruits, and then you'll cover 15 fruits. Yeah. Yes.
Understand the type of people that are with the fourth world, because if God is so strong and so light and all that, the plate has to be empty. Tell me a little bit more about the fourth type of people that would go to where it is.
The people that are not present, people that we don't even think about on a regular basis. Exactly. It's the people that are not in our consciousness. The people that don't occupy a place. That's the emptiness of the plate. That's what the emptiness of the plate represents, because they really don't occupy anything. No, so exactly. So no. So maybe it's people that need more prayer that we haven't thought of. Or maybe it's people that we've consciously or subconsciously disconnected from and we need to reconnect with. But that's one type. We also said that it includes the people from the upper worlds. And we have to remember that they may not be with us anymore physically, just like this empty plate. But still, we think of them when we invite them back, because we know that deep inside that they are with us. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
The potential of being able to eventually achieve that fourth world, or know what that means.
You mean that the empty plate represents the potential that hasn't been actualized yet?
Yes.
Could be. I like that. Yeah, could be. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the other questions we have here that are not necessarily connected to Tu Bishvat. Here's a question. I understand that breast milk is okay to be mixed with meat. If so, why? So, first of all, I've never seen that. If you have a dish like that, then good luck. I'm not going to participate in eating. But but you're right. Breast milk can't be mixed with meat because the Torah prohibition is on cow's milk, on kosher animals' milk. Non-kosher animals are non-kosher and therefore cannot be eaten as it is. But it comes really lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. That's the biblical verse that it comes from, that one should not cook a kid in its mother's milk, a goat kid in its mother's milk. Now, from here we derive that it's not just goats, but all kosher animals, but it doesn't speak about human beings, human milk. So therefore, human milk is considered to be parev, and it can be mixed with meat. Yeah. So that's that. What are your thoughts about the future of Israel? Wow. Well, my thoughts won't count anyway. The future of Israel is going to be the future of Israel, where it doesn't really matter what I think about it. I do think that our nation and our land have been blessed with all of the ingredients that point to a very healthy and thriving future. I also think that many are suspicious about the future of Israel, viable future of Israel, and many are skeptic about its growth, about its people. But I do know that the prophet has already promised us that Netzach Yisrael lo yeshaker. The eternity of Israel will not lie. Israel is eternal. The people of Israel are eternal. The land of Israel is eternal. It might go through ups and downs, through all sorts of twists and turns, but God has promised us that our land and our nation will always be there. So the future of Israel is eternal. There's no human being that can change that, because God has sealed our fate by saying that Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. I think the big question is if you and I will be a part of it. If you and I will be dedicated to it. If you and I will have the merit to contribute to it. It will happen no matter what. But God also wants us to get committed and involved. That's as far as the general future is concerned. As far as the maybe political future is concerned, or the national future of our nation in Israel is concerned, I'm very optimistic. I think that the past 75 years, how long has it been now? 1948, 77 years, almost 77, right? Have proven that this is a miraculous nation in a miraculous land with a miraculous connection between the nation and the land. And Ben Gurion famously said that in Israel, to believe in reality is to believe in miracles, or something like that. And Einstein said that either you believe that everything is a miracle, that nothing is a miracle. But it's truly miraculous, and Hashem is making it happen for us. And I have no reason to doubt that Hashem won't continue to make it happen for us. So that's as far as the future of Israel is concerned. Next question. Judaism requires us to do mitzvahs. One is to give tzedakah. Why do those who give more get more recognition from the community than those who don't, even if they donate beyond their means? Why do people give more money, I suppose, right? Get more recognition than people who don't give as much money, yet they are still giving beyond their means. Look, I think that first and foremost, people who give money, and everyone should give tzedakah, should be concerned not whether they are recognized by the community or not. They should be concerned whether they are recognized by God. And God recognizes them. God sees the heart. And from God's standpoint, if you gave $1 million and it was a drop in a bucket and you had zero effort for giving those $1 million and zero heart in giving those $1 million, then the person who gave just 10 cents with all his heart and sacrificed quite a bit to give those 10 cents stands much higher than you do, no matter of the sum that you gave. And God knows that, God recognizes that, God sees that, God rewards you for that. That's the only thing that should really concern us. Why do communities in general recognize people who give more money than others? I think that the communities follow these communities follow what Maimonides states, and that is that people who give money should be recognized. I think everyone should be recognized, even though many people choose to remain anonymous, but they should be recognized because it will inspire others to give. That's just the way the human nature works. Maybe it's the way the ego works, but still, when they see, oh, he gave, so I should give. Oh, she gave, so I should give. Then you have a ripple effect to your giving. And that's why people are recognized. Now, everyone should be recognized, especially those who don't have much means and they still give and they give with all their heart. They should be recognized, certainly. And if they are not, then they should be. There's no excuse for that. But everyone should be recognized according to Maimonides, again, because it creates a ripple effect of giving. And then I have one last question here. In your experience, what are some effective ways for people to maintain a strong connection to the Jewish identity in an increasingly changing world? So how do you maintain a strong connection to your Jewish identity in our world today? I think that, and we spoke about this, in fact, 2 weeks ago, I think that the number one rule is consistency. Pick a mitzvah and be consistent with it. Don't allow the fast-paced world that we live in, the forever changing world that we live in, to affect that consistent commitment to that mitzvah. Because the more you have a consistent commitment to that mitzvah, whichever mitzvah it is, the stronger your anchor to God himself, to your neshama, to your identity will be. If you treat mitzvahs like, like you treat, restaurants, one day you go here, one day you go there, then you really have no anchor. But the key is therefore consistency. Be consistent with one mitzvah, let it become your anchor. And then when the world around you changes, you still have something to rely on and something that really fortifies you, strengthens you, and supports you. So that's number one. Key is picking a mitzvah and being consistent with it. Whether you feel like being, doing that mitzvah on that day or not, it doesn't matter. You're consistent with it. You're committed. The whole world might collapse. You're still doing that mitzvah. Now, everyone has their own connection to different mitzvahs. For some people, the mitzvah of tzedakah, like we just spoke about, is their mitzvah. Beautiful. As long as they're consistent with it. Amazing. For some people, their connection is prayer. Their mitzvah is prayer. For other people, it's tefillin. For other people, it's, lighting Shabbat candles, right? Whatever it could be. But I think that number two is which is connected to number one, is doing mitzvahs that resonate with you. But don't do them and allow them to just sink you into this comfort hole. Keep adding to them, more and more and more. You know your path, you know what clicks, you know what speaks to you. So you pick those mitzvahs, but keep adding more and more, because at the end of the day, Judaism is an eternal journey without a destination, I'm sorry to tell you. And we are called to grow and grow and grow. So number one, consistency with one mitzvah. Number two, pick more mitzvahs that speak to you. Number three, pick even more mitzvahs. And number four, pick even more mitzvahs to no end. I think that's the best way, really. And thank God we have 613 commandments, so there's a lot to pick from.